Hi, my name is Natalie Jackson, and I am the owner of NJ Claus Art. NJ Claus was an old nickname from secondary school because I like to grow my nails really long. So Claus as in cat claws, and my initials, that was quite a unique name. So I decided to keep that since artists are rather odd and eccentric. I've been painting kind of seriously since 2009 because I really loved art and I wanted to potentially make it a career path, but I also liked the sciences. I actually went off to university to study environmental management, but that didn't exactly work out when I came back home. So I decided to paint full time. So my art is kind of on a sliding scale between cartoony and realism. I love whimsical and expressive characters, but I also love the environment and painting landscapes and that sort of thing. So I tend to mesh the two. Yes, with like really nice, bright, vivid backgrounds and fun characters who like to enjoy the scenery that they're in. So my love of art began probably as young as I could remember. I remember scribbling on my mom's walls and she was very upset with that. And it continued all the way through school. I loved having art as a subject. I had some really good art teachers when I went to secondary school. I studied at Combermere, and they supported me and nurtured me, let me know that some people do make this into a career. And at the time, I was still juggling with what I wanted to do, whether it be art or the sciences. And when I went off to university, I ended up being on the committee for several years of the people that put together hall concerts. I painted these massive backdrops and got to design shirts, and it just nurtured that love of art and creating even more. I wasn't sure what avenue I wanted to do creatively. Like it's pretty broad. You could be doing from logos to more fine art kind of things. So I dabbled a bit while working on logos and posters for people, that sort of thing. I realized that that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. As much as it's all the creative spectrum, I more liked doing the illustrations and whimsical things. More later, I got into the fine art side where I started painting landscapes because I realized I think I was just as afraid of it in the beginning. And I decided to give it a try and realized I actually like that as well. You kind of encounter challenges from different areas. It's either what you want to do, finding that sweet spot of your interests and what you're actually good at, and as well as finding the correct market to push your images towards. Because I do pretty different looking art, I find it wasn't as easy to get into traditional art spaces. Art galleries here tend to focus very much on like the touristy kind of art, the painting turtles and beaches and chattel houses. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just not what I wanted to do. So for a while, I was actually taking online jobs for people who wanted, say, book covers. I haven't shipped any like large pieces overseas, but smaller gigs doing book illustrations and that sort of thing. And I've only recently started doing more fine art and canvas painting for the local market and found that people in my age range, so between 25 to let's say 40, 45, who have interest in things like video games and cartoons, comics, that kind of thing, were actually interested in purchasing pieces from me. Galleries tend to have, they have that aesthetic down pat, and they are marketing to their tourists who are regulars and come back, and they literally told me, oh, it's nice, it's really nice work, but our clientele has a specific aesthetic they're looking for. So it's hard. It's hard to get yourself out there. So I hosted my first ever art show last Saturday, March 25th, and it was a smashing success. I'm really, really happy about that. I would say a good 2/3 of my pieces sold that day, and I was really surprised by who bought them. So I'm intending maybe for December of this year to host another show. I'm gonna start working on some pieces, build back up my portfolio, and maybe do some prints and yeah, a show for the end of December. Making art a career and respect for the creative field in general is somewhat lacking in Barbados. And I don't think it's all malicious. It's just lack of awareness of how you could make it a viable career. My parents in particular they were supportive but worried. They would always encourage me to paint. My dad isn't very artistic himself, but he would always look and see what I was doing and say, looks good. But you're studying your science, right? So it's hard. It's hard. Mainly because people just don't know how to monetize themselves. And that information is getting a bit more accessible, but I still find it's hard sometimes to apply to Barbados because you can look online and find examples of how artists are doing it, but how do you adapt that for here? And also, I find the general Bajan public, at least the idea that I got initially, was that the average person isn't really interested in art. They don't want to spend a few $100s on an original. My advice to any creatives that are trying to get themselves out there is to find what you like to do, because you don't want to be doing something you don't like and end up quitting, and see how you could market yourself to the public. You might have to think way outside the box, but people are receptive if you're offering value, if you're offering something unique. Pique their interest, get yourself out there, go to like the farmers markets and the pop-ups, let people see what you're doing. Think of how you can pitch services to people, and eventually people will start to catch on. Also, social media is your best friend.